In 2023, exhausted by the constant conflicts with his father, Lucas decided to distance himself and found refuge in a cabin he could sublet for a few months. The actual tenant, faced with his own troubles, had deserted the place, leaving Lucas to deal directly with the cabin's owner, whom he now considered his landlord. This cabin, nestled at the end of a forest path and surrounded by a few similar houses, offered perfect isolation for Lucas, who sought to rebuild himself far from family turmoil. The rent was settled monthly, which suited Lucas perfectly in his precarious situation. The cabin stretched over 2 levels with a small kitchen, a decent-sized living room, and a bedroom accessible via a small staircase. A trapdoor provided access to this bedroom, adding a unique character to the place. After spending a month in this forest retreat, Lucas had fully adapted to his new life. The few neighboring cabins seemed, for the most part, inhabited, although he had never taken the trouble to meet his neighbors. His demanding job often left him exhausted, leading him directly into Morpheus's arms upon his return. One night, after a long day's labor, Lucas was pulled from his sleep by a strange voice coming from below. "Who's up there?" he heard distinctly. His heart stopped for a moment. The voice seemed to come from inside the house. Armed with courage, Lucas turned off the television and approached the small window, peering into the darkness without seeing a soul. "Who's there?" he dared to ask, plunged into a suddenly oppressive silence. He decided to go down, although terrified at the idea of what he might find. Turning on the first light he came across, he found the living room empty, as he expected. He was almost ready to attribute this voice to an auditory illusion when he decided to inspect the surroundings of the cabin. Lucas activated the outdoor light and took a look through the windows. But there was no one there. Confused and intrigued, he went back to bed, but no sooner had he turned the television back on than violent knocks were struck at the bedroom door, coming from below. This time, there was no room for doubt. Someone had indeed entered the house. Paralyzed with fear, Lucas did not move, hoping the intruder would leave on their own. But the persistent knocks against the door convinced him of the immediate danger. He gathered his courage, opened the door, and in a desperate rush, ran into the night to seek refuge with a neighbor. What he then discovered led him to question the very reality of his situation and the safety of this place he had thought to be a sanctuary. The subsequent events forced him to confront not only the mysteries of this isolated cabin, but also the shadows that, it seemed, lurked in every corner of his life.